state seemed to be so potently full of images and weaknesses and strengths that I felt were contained within myself. It came through art as well when I started seeing things like movies by Salvador Dali and Buñuel and work by De Chirico. I said, yes, that's exactly how my dreams felt. And that's how I want to write, or how do you work like that? And then I started reading people like William Burroughs. I started learning about the cut-up techniques that they employed to create new ways of thinking. And I thought I'd try and apply that to writing. So that's kind of how it evolved. But it was originally because of the dream state. I found the dream state magnetic. It just captured everything for me.
Day out, day out. Good morning.
It was a question of creating characters up until about 1976, and at that point, when I started working with Brian Eno, my emphasis changed from creating characters for stage, but actually really getting involved in finding out more about music.
And your dressing area is going to be here?
Yeah. And now I've spent the last 10 years really sort of delving into ambient music through to narrative form music, which I seem to be back into at the moment. It seems to be pretty linear and rock-oriented. Now I'm restating what I wanted to do through theatre again on this next tour. At least for the last 10 years, it hasn't been chameleon-like. For me, it's just been me writing my music and performing my music on stage as, David Bowie, yeah.
I met Bowie back in 1973 when he was producing Lulu. He was a weird Englishman with his weird English look, and I was a New York kid, you know. I had a whole career based at the Apollo Theater with all the heaviest R&B acts. This guy, to me, was a nobody. You know, the Spiders from Mars, what the hell is a spider from Mars? I mean, that's a stupid name. No, he didn't impress me at all. I just liked him as being this English dude that was always saying, yeah, man. David doesn't tour because an album comes out, because the record company says that they want more backing on an album, because sales are down, nothing like that. He doesn't tour because he's been home, he's done other things, and now he's climbing the walls, and he wants to go out, and he's got an idea that has been burning in his head.
David and I met at Bromley Technical High School. I'd just gone to the school for the first year, and he was already in the third or fourth form, already in my father's class, because my father was the head of the art department there.
He was younger than me. He was about, let's see, he must have been about 12, 13 when I was 15. But at the time, we used to, in the art block, that used to be like where all the musos hang out, you know. We used to bring our guitars to school.
My father would leave the art block stairs open at lunch times, and we'd smuggle the guitars in, because the art block was all stone, so it was a wonderful built-in echo chamber. So we used to sit there and sing Every Day and Peggy Sue and all that.
No, that's not Peter Frampton. No, please. I won't allow anybody.
Creía que era usted Peter Frampton.
Oh, okay.
Hello, David.
Hello. When we weren't painting, we were playing guitar, and he used to come in over there and play over there, and he was just dynamite. I mean, he already at 13, he was a great guitarist. I saw this dreadful stuff happening to him in the 70s. It was all getting lost, that he was a great guitarist. He was suddenly a pop hero, and then he was a face, and he hated that. Last year, it became apparent that Peter was really back on the trail again, and I thought, that's the guitarist I'd really like to work with on this next album.
Thank you.
Coming to this album, I approached it from how I used to feel about bands when I start. I always go back to, when you get lost, you go back to point one. And so I approached the whole deal from what used to excite me about being in a band, and it just goes back to the guitar again. And so it became a guitar-oriented album. And as I was writing and feeling out the material, I realized it was just a tremendous album to be touring, and so the whole thing meshed together. And I put the amount of energy that I needed in to a rock album to really make it happen on stage.
Bang, bang. I got mine. Bang, bang. Sun don't shine. Bang, bang.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
David called me up and he says, Carlos, I want you to come to Switzerland to do a new album. We had the most fun doing this album that we ever had because it was really coming back to just us and not all the outside influences of being in New York at the power station in this gigantic studio and having ex musicians coming in to do something. So it was very, very much us, you know, which was great.
I made demos of everything before we went in, and I played them to everybody, and I said, I want it to sound exactly like this, but better.
When David comes to you with the tapes and stuff like that, demos and things like that, they're all very rough. Rough, real rough.
It produced the kind of sound that I really felt was me, because I was playing some of the stuff on it, and I was kind of giving it some kind of foundation, either the keyboards or a particular kind of rhythm guitar that I play, which is not like Carlos's, but it works, you know. I mean, it's not great, but it works.
In the studio, David knows exactly what he wants. I wouldn't say that he's over-demanding or anything. He will suggest and then leave it up to you. He's got you in there because he knows what you can do, and he thinks he can point you in the direction he'd really like you to go. So I think we had a laugh. I mean, we really did. It was 10 days of good times, which is when good music is made.
The first thing that you notice in the difference is David's voice. He sounds marvelous. He sounds refreshed. He's singing very high as he did before, as opposed to that very low baritone that he always has. This lends itself towards us being able to have a different, higher energy music.
Change the cycle.
The subject matter generally, if I can preface that with the subject matter generally on the album, seems to be split between personal romance, personal feelings of love, and some kind of statement or indictment of an uncaring society on this, particularly the response to what's happening in major cities in terms of the homeless. I'm not consciously prolific in terms of didactic statements. I mean, I would leave that very much to the Clash kind of band or Dylan or the way that Lennon would work with his songs. My things tend far more towards an impressionistic, almost surrealistic approach to statement. When I was about, from 17, 18 years onwards, I knew that I wanted to do something on stage, and it involved music, but it also involved theatre somehow. I'm never quite sure what it was until I started working on the Ziggy kind of thing. I knew it was something to do with amalgamating theatre and rock in a way that I hadn't seen before. It had more to do with this kind of surrealistic thing, and I guess Ziggy was like sort of trying the water out as in the first attempt. The late 60s were great for people like me because it was the era of multimedia shows and great music going on, and London was full of mime companies, the best of which was a group of mimes called the Lindsay Kemp Company, who were very fundamental in teaching me quite a bit about stage work, stage craft, how lighting worked, how you could use your body on stage and make a dramatic statement. One always sort of thought that theatre was about props and things, when it's not at all. I mean, I hopefully could do any of the shows that I have done without any of the scenery or props that I've used, because a lot of it was body work. The least slightly, I guess, I hope anyway, is the hunger. I felt very uncomfortable with that role, although I loved being involved in a Tony Scott movie.
You know, John speaks before he thinks.
Is that what he does? I can't figure him out.
Please, play the Lola for me. Even if it is a little saccharine.
Are you sure you're not John's father?
Quite sure.
He really made you feel tremendously sorry for that guy. He generated great pathos for that character. You really felt bad for this aging, rotting vampire. He has a natural elegance. He's truly elegant. And that comes through in all of his performances and all of his personas.
Well, I think one of the things we found out, in a way, together on Blue Jean was that he is a very accomplished, funny, comic actor. You know, often in the past, I think people had seen David Bowie as this kind of remote, myth-like, godlike character who unveiled a new mysterious image every 3 years. But one of the things that strikes you immediately when you meet him is an incredible sense of humor and wit and humor about himself.
But when one spent a few long hours in the studio, there's nothing better than walking around with 300 or 400 friends looking for a coffee.
Thinking of a different time, Palestine, a modern problem. Bounty and your wealth in land. Sarah in a best-laid plan. Oh.
I've been feeling a tour coming on over the last 3 years.
Tomorrow's and the yesterdays.
I build slowly over a long time and ideas gradually creep in, and after 3 or 4 years I realize I've written a tour, and I then have the excitement to want to go out and do it.
If you pray, all your sins are hooked upon.